Okay, so now in part 2, I'm going to show you guys how I color correct the rest of the shots and how I match the different footage from the different cameras. Now, when we're going to be color correcting the rest of our shots here, what we can do is, so we don't have to start all over from, with each shot, is to take the Colorista here, right click, go copy, and then we go to the next shot, and let's say like here you see a shot, the point of view shot of the gun. We can just select that shot, and then here in our effects control we'll just paste the same effect. So you can see this is without it, now this is with it. So that copies, basically whatever we did to our previous shot. Now one big difference you'll notice right away here is that it looks a lot brighter than this shot. And why? Well, because this shot was just, probably the exposure settings were different than the previous one. So, and also you just see a lot more snow. So for this shot, especially since, we don't need to really see the actor's face and stuff, that's when the cool thing again is you can just go and you can just adjust your primary three-way color corrector without really, sort of messing around or screwing up our final color correction. So here I'll go to the primary three-way color corrector. I'll just drag it down again to darken the midtones. I can darken the highlights even more, so the snow looks even kind of, more kind of darker grayish. And I think there, if we now scroll, I think that more or less matches the brightness of the previous shot. And that's, I get often asked by a lot of people, like, what kind of preset I use for color correction and things like that. And the reason why I say I don't use any presets is because there's really no way you can come up with a preset that will just work for all your shots. And just as you see up here, like, even though this first shot you could say is my preset, and I'm just copying and applying those settings to the later shots, I will still have to, most of the time, unless the shots are very similar, but most of the time I will have to go in and further tweak that. I guess you could call that a preset, but basically whatever color correction I did to the previous shot. Because no matter, if you're shooting everything all on the same camera, exposure will change. Sometimes the composition or what's in the shot basically will change, and with that your color correction will have to be adjusted accordingly. So that's why you should sort of look at it like not so much that you can just copy and paste a preset to all your shots, but sort of you got to go shot by shot and make sure that each shot sort of fits the overall scene. So like you see up here, this shot and this next shot, they seem to already work a lot better. Now let's say we go further to this shot. I'll apply again my original settings, and let's see this one, because I think it's fairly similar to the first shot. Yeah, I think it works. I might want to darken the highlights a bit further, so again I'll go to my primary, and that's just because we just have a lot more highlights visible in this shot than we did in the first shot. So as you can see, I just darkened it a little bit. So I kind of go now, one by one, and it's not as long as just doing the first shot, but you still have to sort of tweak it further. Now this next shot here is shot with the GoPro, so completely different kind of look that the camera gave us. So again, I'll paste it and we'll see how it looks. And as you can see, it looks pretty well. The problem though is like when you compare it to the first shot and then you look at this GoPro shot, is it's a lot warmer, this shot. So, and that's just simply because the GoPro, the preset that I had, and it just shoots in a lot warmer color tones, and also it's a lot more kind of washed out, desaturated, because of the lens that it uses. So because of that, we have to sort of now go again into our primary 3 color corrector, and here we can sort of counter it. So we know that we have too much warmth in this shot. So overall, I'll just take the midtones, I'll pull it here towards the blues, and then the highlights especially, like this. And then also the shot, I'll just sort of bring back a bit more of the contrast into it, just like the Canon 7D footage that we were color correcting up until now. So I'll take these dark areas here, the shadows, and I'll just pull the value down here just a little bit, so you can see it darkens those shadowy areas. And now I'll take the midtones and I'll brighten those up there. And now let's compare it to the first shot, and I think, yeah, now it matches pretty well. And I mean, you can go in and really sort of fine-tune and tweak it, but I think already at this point it looks like the two shots match. Now this shot, obviously, this was shot on the 5D. and it's just a lot more saturated and a lot more contrasty. So we'll again go and paste the setting here and look at it. And yeah, I would just, one thing I would say is decrease the primary saturation even further, like maybe 30, so we see a bit less color here on those, and then the shoulder flag here and the tags. And again, take the highlights maybe a bit further and darken those. And now we can drag it, and yeah, it looks pretty good. So that's kind of what you'll have to do. So just go shot by shot like this, and sort of copy, paste, and once you get into it, it's not that, it doesn't take that much extra time. But you do want to go shot by shot and make sure that each shot looks good. Now here, for example, if you look at the original, how this shot looks, this was shot on day one with the Canon 5D, this shot, whereas this following shot was done a few days later in a completely separate location, and it was shot on the Red Epic. So because of that, you can see a huge difference. I mean, one difference, for example, is the trees. The trees here in this location were just, the bark was a bit brighter. Another thing you can see is that it's just overall the shot is brighter and more contrasted. Here, this shot, shot on the Red Epic, it's just because it's shot in RAW, it has a lot more information in the shot, but also it's because of that it looks a lot more flat. So when we apply that setting, so here we'll turn on our color correction for this shot, and then if we were to simply go to this shot and paste it, you'll see that the shots completely don't match. Like this one looks, like I said, it kind of looks dark, and I'll probably even darken it even more. Looks a little dark and bluish, and then this shot looks almost greenish in tint, and it has no really dark areas, like really complete pitch black, and then at the same time doesn't really have any highlights there in the shot. So what I would do in this shot is the highlights would actually bring them back up because they're too dark now. Same thing with the midtones to really get those trees kind of looking a little bit brighter. I mean, we can't drastically change the color of the trees, but just overall give it a different feeling. And then the shadows I'll pull down just to kind of bring back a little bit more of this contrast that we had in the other footage. So there, and also the shot just looks a lot more green, so I'll go in the opposite direction here, kind of purple. Maybe a little bit in there, a little bit in the reds. So bring back a little bit of that warm color. And in the highlights too. Now let's match it a bit. See, so this is the previous shot. Is this shot, okay, the highlights maybe actually shouldn't be there. Put it more in the blues. And we'll darken them again a little bit more. Now another thing I'm noticing is the blue here, and that's just mainly because there's so many sort of more mid-tone areas in this shot, so you're going to see a lot more of that final color corrected blue that we applied. I have to basically desaturate the shot even more, so go to my final secondary desaturation and then pull it down to maybe let's see, maybe like around 50, minus 50. And now when we match those two shots, see, they work a lot better. The trees obviously are still different color, but it's the overall the feeling of the shot. Feels like it has the same sort of color tones and the same amount of color. So when you cut it and it goes quickly from shot to shot, you're not going to be really able to tell the difference. And then here we're going back to another Canon 5D shot. Again, darken it a bit more. Take the midtones, also darken them, and desaturate it maybe a bit more. And there we have it. And that's sort of how you go through it. So here's another shot that was shot on the Red Epic. So I would again have to do further adjustments. This one is also shot on the Red Epic, and so is this one. So that's kind of what you would do. You just go shot by shot, and until you've color corrected the whole your whole project. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and in the next one I want to show you guys sort of how I sort of stage and how I go about filming some of these sort of action scenes that you see in this film. And as always, don't forget to check out my website. It's tomantosfilms.com. I always have like extra articles there and little tips and tricks on you know, along with every tutorial. So go over there, follow me, and if you want to contact me, I also have a contact page over there, or you can always reach me on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you guys.